Hey guys, Connie from the Painted Photographer. I'm here this week to have a Maker's Box video for you. I just received Sonnet's Maker's Box and it is packed full of so much inspiration. If you get this box, when you open it up, it's like opening up just a fun present, and it really makes me step out of my comfort zone. Some of these items that I'm gonna thrift for you today in this video, I haven't touched in years. And all of a sudden, just because I got her Maker's Box, it inspires me to go ahead and make them over and get them out of my stash. I love it. So if you would like to be a part of Sonnet's Maker's Box, there's a link in the description below. And I really encourage you to. However, if you're not, you can still substitute some other products for the ones that I used today. If you want to find any of the products that you could substitute, they are found on my website at thepaintedphotographer.com, and I hope that you visit me soon and I'll ship them right to your front door. All right, now let's get started. Our first item we're going to start out here with is this really long white shelf that I picked up a couple weeks ago at the thrift store. I went in with the Anvil Cottage color. This is a DIY color and it has a built-in top coat. I gave it two coats and it covered very, very well. And so now I wanted to use the flour sack milk paint that was in Sonnet's Maker's Box. Flour sack is one of my favorites. I am kind of the neutral white girl and I have used this many times. So I was so happy to see this color in the Maker's Box. I had a little trouble with this shelf. I went right on with the milk paint onto the cottage colors, and I thought I would get a little bit of chipping. I got none on my first coat. So what I decided to do was take a baby wipe and wipe it off. If you catch it, this was dried milk paint, and I went over it with the baby wipe, let it sit for a little bit, and then went over it again, and you can wipe that off. So now I'm taking the Sweet Pickins beeswax bar and I'm going over top of those high points in the project so that it will have a little bit of chipping. And then we're going back in with the flour sack milk paint and going right over top of that wax. And hopefully we'll have a little bit of distressing that I can have with this beeswax bar. I absolutely love the beeswax bar. It did have a little bit of chipping that was naturally done with the beeswax bar. That's where you can see that I'm rubbing it off. So my little bit of sanding made that shadowed look on there, or highlighted look. This might have to be repainted. What do you think? Tell me what you think. This might be a fail in my book. And we're just going to paint over it. I did seal it with the dark oil wax. Now we're going to do project 2. Let's stop worrying about that one and let's do project 2. And this is just a pedestal bowl. It's a wood pedestal bowl. I am going to use that fusion limestone color that's in Sonnet's box. It is called limestone. And I'm going to use the Sweet Pickins beeswax bar, and I'm going to go around the edges. Fusion paint is very hard to distress. It is a very tough paint, and you put it on, it has a built-in top coat, and it's going to be tough. So I was trying this beeswax bar with the fusion paint just to see if I could distress the edges a little bit better when it was dried. And sure enough, I could go back over with a piece of sandpaper and those edges distressed perfectly. I really, really like it. What do you think?
Do you ever feel you don't get out what you're putting in? All your hopes and efforts are all in vain.
For the next project, I spent a lot of time on this project, but I really like it in the end. This was just an old eggs sign that I had laying around. Again, I've had these projects sitting around in my stash for years, and I'm finally pulling them out because Sonnet's box has given me the inspiration that I needed. I'm using the Autumn Harvest mold from IOD. I just received some of them back in, and I'm using the resin. The resin you pour in, and you can see that I just poured the leaves, so one piece of the leaf was molded, and now when you just pull them out, they are a little pliable. So what I did was I shaped it to the board, and then I took painter's tape and I painted it, or I taped it down as much as I could. So now it has, when it dried overnight, it has that shape of being on the pumpkin, and it can be laid flat. We're going to use the fusion paint in soapstone to go over this board with a little soapstone and getting that gray background. This covers so nicely. Now we're going to use this little napkin that Sonnet sent using the DIY's liquid patina, and we're going to put that napkin on top of this mold. I think this is just like crazy. Why did I think of this? I have no idea. I just thought, let's use that napkin on a mold. Which mold should we use it on? And this pumpkin is the up and coming season, so why not give it a try? Her paper gave me a fall vibe, and so I just went with it, covering up the entire pumpkin. I didn't really want the stem covered up, but after all of it, I was like, whatever covers up, and I can just fix it later. So I made sure that I pressed in the napkin into those ridges. I did end up with a little tear there. I just took a piece of the black napkin and I placed it right back in there. You never even know that it was a missing piece. So now I'm just tearing the edges when it's a little bit wet. And we're going to paint the leaves in the DIY color Eden. And I just painted, this is resin, it is paintable, and I just paint those leaves with the Eden paint. Now using the heavy matte gel medium, which I'm going to tell you a little bit more about in the rest of this video, I went over top of that napkin to make it very waterproof. And we're going to talk about this product a little bit later. It is an amazing product. So now we're going to take the black velvet that was included in the box. This is a DIY paint, and we're going to paint right over top of that stem using that black velvet. It's giving us that moody vibe that I was looking for because of the paper. So now I have it all together. That background is too plain for me. This bubble wrap was in the Back Porch collection for June. I want to show you, if you've gotten the Back Porch collection, how you can use it. This is the limestone, and I put it on with a brayer, and I just went right over the bubbles in the bubble wrap. And I put some paint on there. And then I went and I just pushed it right onto the board. It was a little dark for my liking. I should have pushed it onto a piece of cardboard and then took a second stamping and put it onto the board so it was a little bit more faded. But I spent a lot of time on this board and I figured it out. I used a piece of sandpaper and I sanded over it. That fusion paint is hard. It was not going anywhere, so I had to come up with a different solution, and the sanding wasn't working. It was not dulling down those polka dots, even though that's what I did want. So I actually took the soapstone fusion paint, watered it down a little bit, and went right over top of those bubbles. And now it has kind of a washed look to it. And now I'm going to take the black velvet and I'm going to put some dark edging around the outside of that board, trying to mute that down a little bit and give it this moody, Halloween-y fall look to it. And so I'm using the paint spatula and just putting it on the board. You can pick some of it up with a baby wipe if you don't like it, because this is the DIY paint, but I was going for a very distressed look.
Does it all
I didn't show this step, but I had put some Sweet Pickins beeswax bar on the edges of this sign, so it distressed right back very easily with the fusion paint on the top of it. And then I distressed some of that black velvet back a little bit, just giving it some more age. Now I think I'm kind of liking it, and so I added my pumpkin and my leaves. Still a little bit plain. What I wanted was some words on here. So we're going to add some words using the IOD stamp in letterpress. I love this stamp. It is a workhorse for me. We're going to spell out Hello Pumpkin and stamp that on using my thin mount so that I can line up my words and make sure that they are straight. Sometimes a little crooked is okay because it's totally crafting, but we're going to make sure that it's lined up on the top and on the side so that when we put this back down, we can make sure we line up the side and the top, and it's going to be exactly where we need it to be on the board. We have to skip a few letters because we have duplicates, but now what I'm doing is just lining them up to the markings on the thin mount, which that is why I absolutely love the thin mount, is it tells me where I should put my letters. I line it back up on the top and the side, and I stamp it, and unfortunately I didn't get an M to stamp very well, so I went back in with my M, just pushed a little bit on the center. It's not perfect, but you know what? You can figure out what it says. It's supposed to be like a distressed, worn sign, and I am using the white mixing ink, which is a permanent. This is not the erasable chalk. This is the white mixing ink. It is permanent. So now that looks better, but we have to finish it off with some clear wax. So we're going to put some clear wax on here, bringing out all those colors, and then we're also going to clear wax the pumpkin and the leaves and add a little white dust to make those highlights show even better. Let me know what you think of this project.
There must be conscience, different things in different ways. There must be love, there must be a reason, and a little bit of faith has got to come my way. I was just a little girl when my mama used to say, ooh, happiness requires work every day. Oh, and if that someone makes you smile and leaves you with a scar, don't let them tell you what you feel or who you are. Oh, there must be more. There must be another way. There must be conscience. Different things in different ways. There must be love. There must be a reason, and a little bit of faith has got to come my way. I gave it all to you for too long.
One more time we're going to use that napkin. So this was something I had in my head. I'm using the air dry clay, a little cornstarch onto my thin mount, and then I'm going to roll my clay into a ball, just like when you were a kid, smash it down onto the thin mount, and roll it out like you're making a pie crust. And we're going to make a round shape with this, but I want the shape to be kind of halfway round. It's okay if it's going to be a little oblong, but I'm going to take a cup that I had in the shop, and I'm going to cut around with my tool, making that round, perfectly round shape. And then we're going to patch it in a little bit, making it irregular and handmade. And collecting the scraps, we're going to take this napkin and separate it using 2 pieces of painter's tape, because you want to make sure that you take that second layer off. And then we're going to add it to this clay. The clay is flat and wet. It is not dried at all. It is still not cured. And we're going to take the napkin, place it over top of that clay, and put the liquid patina onto the clay, and then place the napkin on that, making sure that I had the dragonfly and the little snail there. And then I go back in with my brush and go back on top with the liquid patina to seal everything in. Now, you're probably wondering what's happening with this project. This is what's happening with this project. We pull it off of the thin mount. I have a canning lid, and then I'm going to push it inside the canning lid to make like a little bowl. This is going to be a small little crafted bowl. I couldn't figure out what to push it in with, but I used my brush, which was perfect. So you have to push it down in there, making the clay bend and not ripping the napkin. This might be a little tricky because the napkin is so fragile. But you want to do this while your napkin is wet. You want to do it when your air dry clay is wet. Just push it in there and let it dry overnight. Now it becomes this cute little bowl. I'm going to use a piece of sandpaper, and I'm going to sand off the excess napkin on the edges of this bowl. Then it looks really sweet, and I'm going to use this heavy gel medium. And this is like the best waterproof gel you are going to find. You use liquid patina, it's not going to hold up with water as much as this product is. This is going to keep your paint and your waxes from absorbing into the paper. This is the magic stuff. You can find it on Amazon, and I will leave my affiliate link in the description so you can grab yours. Now we're going to put some red on the outside of this little trivet dish. Red, you're asking? Why red? This is Marquee from DIY. And I learned this from Debbie Beard, that you take red and you put it on under the copper or gold that you put on top. And it makes the copper and gold that much bolder. She's right. It works. So if you have some copper or gold you want to add, put the red on first and then go right over the top with the copper. Let me know what you think of this project.
There must be another way, there must be conscious, different things in different ways. There must be more to the reason why we do.
Here's Lefty. This was drawn with my left hand. And I had this vintage picture frame that I took apart, and then I cut a white backing so that Lefty could sit in behind a white backing or in front of a white backing. And then I cut Lefty so that he would fit into this vintage frame. Lefty, I didn't know that I could draw with my left hand, and this was so fun to create this bird with my left hand. I did create some flowers with my left hand, and those are rice papers that I do sell on my website if you're interested in those. I really like the way they look. I like that artistic sketch look to them, and Lefty is just amazing. I love Lefty. And we're going to put him into this frame and see how he looks. And the beauty of this Lefty is I am using the DIY mixology kit, and you cannot purchase this one anymore. There's going to be a new one coming very, very soon with some new colors in it. And this one had all the colors that I needed. So we're going to paint this rice paper. So we take the DIY paint. This is Blue Iris. We add water to it. And we're going to make it like a watercolor. DIY paint is highly pigmented, so you can add water and you're not going to lose the color at all. And we're going to add a little white to not have quite such a bright blue on this little Lefty. He's going to have a little bit of variation of light blue and dark blue. And I went in with my round brush and I just painted him, watercolored him, because my paint is very, very watery. So it's like watercoloring on this rice paper. This is such a fun process. It's like a paint by number. It's adult paint by number, and you're making your own art. Now we're going to go in with a little bit darker blue, and I'm going to let you watch this process as I paint Lefty. Let me know what you think of him.
Never knew that it could feel this way when you lie next to someone. You don't even need to play pretend, 'cause you find the way you are. I wanna know you better. Give me every detail. I won't judge you, as you know. I could stay forever when you're lying in my arms. My heart is open. It just took some time. Now I just hope that you'd stay for a little while. You fix what's broken when you make that smile. So just stay for a little while. So just stay for a little while.
I didn't think that I would find that someone who's as honest as you are. The way you make me feel at night when I am vulnerable and it's cold outside, but you make it alright. I wanna know you better. Give me every detail. I won't judge you, as you know. I could stay forever when I'm lying in your arms. Oh, my heart is open. It just took
Now this lamp, this lamp has been in my stash for a very, very long time, and this took me forever to do, guys. I should probably not pick such complicated projects, but this was definitely a challenge, and it ended up looking really sweet in the end. I am going to use the floral ledger from recycled paper. It is big enough to cover one lampshade if I cut this into 4 pieces. So if I cut it into 4 pieces, there's 4 sections on this lamp. I can cover all 4 sections with this one sheet of decoupage paper. So I've never decoupaged a lampshade before, and this one was tapered, so that's a challenge in itself. I just had to just go with it and just start doing it and see what happens. If it doesn't work, guys, it just doesn't work. So I went in with the DIY crystal clear liquid patina, and it was not strong enough. I'm telling you, it was not strong enough to hold that paper down. I would have had a mess had I had to use that liquid patina the entire time. I did find a solution for it, and this is not sticking. You can see it's not sticking, and why it's not sticking is because it's absorbing into that fabric as fast as I'm putting it down. I can't put the liquid patina on fast enough. So here's my magic stuff again. The heavy matte gel medium goes on with the liquid patina, and it is thick enough to grab onto that paper and adhere it to the lampshade. So I have some heavy gel matte medium on the front side of that paper, and then I also have it on the back side, and this is going to be so waterproof, guys. And even where that liquid patina was, it just still was not sticking. So we're going back in with some heavy matte gel medium and placing that down. It took me a bit to do these, and I did get them all put down. I'm gonna let you watch this aggravating experience so that you know what to do if you want to try a lampshade.
Stay for a little while. So long when you go, and I can't get enough of your soul. Can't you stay a little while? I don't want you to leave, so stay with me. Stay for a little while.
Stay for a little while. My heart is open. It just took some time. Now I just hope that you stay for a little while.
You fix what's broken when you make that smile. So just stay for a little while.
My heart is open. It just took some time. Now I just hope that you stay for a little while. You fix what's broken when you make that smile. Stay for a little while. Stay for a little
I used the black velvet from the DIY paint, and I just went over top of this gold lampshade, giving it a nice fresh makeover with 2 coats of black velvet, and then I sealed it in using the DIY dark wax.
Wouldn't lie to you, doesn't matter what I do. She's got a hold on me. She knows how to drive a truck, but she lets me pick her up when we're going dancing. My heart starts beating when my headlights shining on her. She's my country girl. I couldn't tell you what she's doing.
So now the seams on my lamp didn't look very good, and I knew they wouldn't. This was my plan all along, is I was going to paint those strips in black. I didn't know that I was going to paint them. I thought I was going to paint them very nicely, but the paper just did not, it didn't lay nicely on the seams. So I went in with the black velvet and a little bit of Summer Crush, and I just stippled it on, sometimes following one of the creases that the paper had in the base of the lampshade, and I made it look like rust. Like this lampshade was rusting from the sides and from the top. And it still kind of wasn't working, so I had to get creative and use my water bottle. Remember, I used so much of that heavy gel matte medium that this lampshade is waterproof. I can squirt as much water on here and it is not going to absorb into the paper. That matte gel medium is a really good barrier. You can see that the paint just is gliding off. It is not absorbing into the paper, and you need some of this stuff in your stash, guys. I'm telling you, I used almost the entire jar of it since I got it so far. And we're gonna make these seams rust. We'll finish this lampshade off with a little bit of clear wax and sealing it all in. It brings out the color of that DIY paint and makes that rust just beautiful. This lampshade, I did not think I was going to like it. It was a bit of a challenge for me, but in the end, it's absolutely beautiful, and it is definitely something that others will love as well.
She can let her hair down, but got her feet on the ground. I can't get enough of her. She can drive me so wild, just with that sweet smile, and there's nobody else for me. My heart starts racing every time I'm looking at her. She's my country girl. I couldn't tell you what she's doing to me. She's so damn out of my league. She's a little bit crazy on the weekends, dancing in her red dress, and I love the way she looks in my eyes.
For our last project today, we're going to have this gallery frame that needed a makeover. I am going to use Bath Night. This is the other rice paper that I created for this box, and it's a bit out of the blue why I chose to have a mermaid, but I really was feeling it. When it doesn't fit on your project, you're going to want to do a wet tear. You do not want to do a straight line. You want to have your edges curvy because it takes your eye a bit longer to see a curve than it does a straight line. So we're going to put on this rice paper with a little bit of liquid patina, and we're just putting the liquid patina onto the entire base so that it has the same finish over everything. And then she's going to go right there in the center, and we're going to take the liquid patina and seal her in, letting her dry. And then you guessed it, after she dried, we're going to make this waterproof because we're going to blend those edges, and I do not want that paint seeping into my paper. We're going to use the heavy matte gel medium. It's very, very thick, so you can also use the liquid patina to make it a little bit thinner and a little bit more spreadable on your project. So why we're putting that heavy matte gel medium on there is because it's making this paper very waterproof, and when we start to add paint, it's not going to absorb into the fibers of this paper. So we're going to create the background. It was petticoat pink and a little bit of that vintage linen that we have in the box. And I mixed those two together using a clear sheet. And this happened, the napkin happened to be in here, so don't throw any of this stuff away. Then we're going to use a little bit of the black velvet to darken up those colors a little bit, finding the correct match to the paper that's underneath. And you can see through your cellophane there, so you'll be able to go ahead and find the perfect color. And then what I like to do is go over top of the paper, not just butting up with the line that's there. I like to go over top of the paper, and so it's very hard for your eye to see. I also like to use a stippling motion and a lot of brush strokes, so it's also very hard for you to see. With this matte gel medium, I purposely did that so I could show you. You can take a baby wipe and wipe that right off. So if you get paint where you don't want it, you can just wipe it right off and start over. I'm going to get some on her hair again, not on purpose, but I'm going to grab my baby wipe and wipe off her hair. It's as good as new. Now we're going to start on the other side, and then I also used a little blue iris and filled in where the water is on the bottom. Using that blue iris, I watered it down a little bit, and I took my paintbrush and a pen and I just splattered. So it looks like this mermaid is really taking a good bath on bath night. She's splashing around. I just think this image would be so cute in someone's bathroom, in a little girl's bathroom. Wouldn't that be sweet? After everything totally dries, I come back in with another coat of liquid patina so we can seal up all of that paint that we just put on there. And sealing it all in, I still didn't like my edges. I had to camouflage my edges a little bit from the paper to the frame. There was a little bit of a white line there. It's not what I wanted to see. So I went and grabbed some weathered wood and my mister bottle. I misted it all after it was dried, of course. I misted it all and then just went right in with that weathered wood and covered up those edges so they weren't so stark white. This is like aging, but remember, we have the heavy gel matte medium on here, so it can withstand that absorption of that water. It is not going to absorb into the paper. You can just wipe it right or blot it right off. So this is looking great. We're going to seal it up with some clear wax, and then once we got that weathered wood all sealed in with the clear wax, then we're going to go ahead and add the dark wax from DIY and give it a little bit of age. Let me know what you think of this project. I did some pretty complex projects today, and I'm loving them, and I hope you are too.
Till the sun comes up, she's a little bit country. Yeah, she's my country girl. She's a little bit country. Yeah, she's my country girl. Guitar.
Hey guys, Connie from the Painted Photographer here. What'd you think of that? Did you like that? I hope so. Sonnet's Maker's Box really gets me out of my comfort zone. It makes me, I've had this lamp for years and I've not touched it until now. And the mermaid painting, like, I don't know why I thought of painting the mermaid, and she's so cute. And it just made that whole frame just look like it belongs right in somebody's bathroom. It's just so cute. So I hope that you like these projects. Tell me what was your favorite. I really do like this pumpkin with the napkin on it. I do like that. I think that's a whole new thing, is to put napkins on molds. Can you just imagine the sunflower mold with a napkin on it? I should have done that, but I'm waiting. Maybe Sonnet has another yellow napkin coming out. That'd be so cool. Anyway, thanks for watching. Let me know in the comments what your favorite project was, and also if you need any products, you can head on over to thepaintedphotographer.com and I'll ship them right to your front door. There is a playlist in the description below. Make sure you go and watch all the other amazing artists from Sonnet's Garden Blooms Makers Box creative team. I don't know, that's a mouthful. We love to use the products in her box and show them on here so that you guys are inspired and you can create your own. Thanks for watching, and until next time, happy painting.